Alexandria, Egypt. The year is 34 BC. A vast crowd fills the city's grand gymnasium. Upon golden thrones sit Mark Antony and Cleopatra, dressed not as rulers, but as gods. Before tens of thousands of spectators, they divide the Eastern Mediterranean among their children and proclaim a new future for the ancient world. At that moment, something extraordinary almost happens. For a brief instant in history, Alexandria comes closer than any city ever had to replacing Rome as the capital of civilization itself. But how did a city that did not even exist a few centuries earlier rise to challenge the greatest empire on Earth? This was no ordinary city. It was a metropolis of more than 500,000 people. A city illuminated by a lighthouse visible from 50 kilometers away. A city whose library sought to collect every piece of human knowledge ever written. A city where brilliant minds measured the earth, mapped the heavens, and experimented with steam-powered machines nearly 18 centuries before the Industrial Revolution. Today, we will walk the streets of the most sophisticated city of the ancient world at the height of its power. We will witness its rise, its glory, and its astonishing achievements. And we will discover why Alexandria did not fall to a single conqueror. Instead, it died slowly, through division, intolerance, and the destruction of the very knowledge that once made it great. This is the story of ancient Alexandria, the city that almost became the center of the world. Imagine standing on a narrow strip of land between the sparkling waters of the Mediterranean Sea and the calm expanse of Lake Mariut. The year is 331 BC. Before you stands the most famous conqueror in the world. Alexander the Great has just defeated the mighty Persian Empire and now controls territory stretching across 3 continents. Most kings would be satisfied with victory. Alexander wants something more permanent. He wants to build a city that will outlive him. Looking across the coastline, he sees the perfect location for a new metropolis, a place where Europe, Africa, and Asia could meet. And so, Alexandria is born. Alexander orders the renowned architect Dinocrates of Rhodes to design the city according to the latest Greek urban principles. Wide avenues cut through the landscape in a perfect grid. The Grand Canopic Way stretches nearly 5 kilometers from east to west. It is so broad that 8 chariots can ride side by side. Unlike the crowded, maze-like cities of the ancient world, Alexandria is designed for order, movement, and growth. But Alexander never lives to see his masterpiece completed. Only weeks after founding the city, he marches east once again. 12 years later, he dies in Babylon at the age of just 32. His dream, however, survives him. One of his most capable generals, Ptolemy, seizes control of Egypt and makes a brilliant political move. He intercepts Alexander's funeral procession and brings the conqueror's body to Alexandria. At the center of the city, a magnificent tomb is constructed. Pilgrims, rulers, and travelers from across the ancient world journey to see the resting place of Alexander the Great. Possessing his tomb gives Alexandria prestige unlike any other city on Earth. Ptolemy is not content with prestige alone. He wants wealth. He wants power. And above all, he wants Alexandria to become the center of civilization. To achieve this, engineers begin one of the most ambitious construction projects of the ancient world. A colossal stone causeway, known as the Heptastadion, is built, linking the mainland to the island of Pharos. More than a kilometer long, It creates two enormous harbors on either side. Almost overnight, Alexandria becomes one of the finest ports in the Mediterranean. Ships arrive carrying goods, sailors, merchants, and ideas from every corner of the known world. Yet Ptolemy dreams of something even greater than trade. He begins laying the foundations for an institution unlike anything humanity has ever seen. A place dedicated not to war, not to religion, but to knowledge itself. The seeds of the legendary Library of Alexandria have been planted, and the city's greatest age is only beginning. Before we continue, let me know in the comments, if you could visit any ancient city at its peak, which one would you choose? And if you're enjoying this journey through the lost wonders of history, consider subscribing to the channel. There are many more forgotten civilizations waiting to be explored. By the reign of Ptolemy II, Alexandria has become one of the largest cities on Earth. More than 500,000 people now call this extraordinary metropolis home. But Alexandria is not simply large. It is unlike any city the ancient world has ever seen. Walking through its streets, you would hear Greek, Egyptian, Hebrew, Aramaic, and dozens of other languages spoken by merchants and travelers from across 3 continents. The city is a crossroads of cultures, religions, and ideas. Yet beneath this diversity lies a complicated reality. Greeks dominate politics and government. Jewish communities flourish through trade and scholarship. Native Egyptians, despite being the majority, remain largely excluded from power. Alexandria dreams of being universal, but its people do not always live as equals. Towering above this vast city stands its most famous landmark, the Pharos Lighthouse. Rising more than 100 meters into the sky, it is among the tallest structures ever built by human hands. By day, polished bronze mirrors reflect sunlight far across the Mediterranean. By night, a blazing fire guides ships safely toward the harbor. For sailors approaching Egypt, the Pharos is more than a lighthouse. It is a symbol of human ambition itself. Below its shining beacon, the harbor never sleeps. Merchant vessels arrive carrying silk from distant Asia, ivory from Africa, wine from Greece, and grain from the fertile Nile Delta. Alexandria has become the commercial heart of the Mediterranean world. But the city's greatest treasure is not found in its markets or harbors. Just beyond the bustling waterfront, scholars gather in an institution unlike anything humanity has seen before. The Mauseon, the world's first true research center. A place where brilliant minds are paid not to fight, not to rule, but simply to think. And within its walls, a revolution of knowledge is about to begin. The Mauseon is far more than a school. It is the closest thing the ancient world has ever created to a modern research university. Here, scholars receive salaries from the royal treasury. They are given housing, meals, and freedom from taxes. Most importantly, they are given something incredibly rare: time to think, time to experiment, time to pursue knowledge for its own sake. Attached to the Mauseon stands the institution that will make Alexandria legendary forever: the Great Library of Alexandria. Its mission is breathtakingly ambitious: to collect every book, every scroll, and every piece of knowledge known to humanity. The Ptolemaic rulers spare no expense. Ships arriving in Alexandria's harbor are searched for manuscripts. Scribes carefully copy every text they find. The copies are returned. The originals remain in Alexandria. Over time, hundreds of thousands of scrolls fill its shelves. Works from Greece, Egypt, Persia, India, and countless other cultures are preserved under one roof. For the first time in history, humanity attempts to gather all knowledge in a single place. The scholars who work here become some of the greatest minds the world has ever known. Euclid writes his groundbreaking work on geometry. For more than 2,000 years, students across the world will study his ideas. Eratosthenes looks beyond the horizon and asks a remarkable question. How large is the Earth? Using shadows, mathematics, and careful observation, he calculates the planet's circumference with astonishing accuracy. But perhaps the most extraordinary inventor arrives centuries later. Hero of Alexandria. While most people think of the ancient world as primitive, Hero is building machines that seem almost futuristic. He creates automatic doors powered by hidden mechanisms. He develops mechanical devices that perform programmed movements. He even constructs the world's first recorded steam engine. It is only a demonstration model, but it proves a revolutionary idea. Steam can create motion. Nearly 18 centuries before the Industrial Revolution, the principle is already sitting inside a workshop in Alexandria. The city has become the intellectual capital of the ancient world, a place where mathematicians measure the earth, astronomers chart the heavens, and inventors imagine technologies far ahead of their time. Yet despite all its brilliance, Alexandria is not invincible. Soon, political ambition and war will bring one of history's most famous rulers to its shores. And with him comes a fire that will spark a debate lasting more than 2,000 years. In 48 BC, the fate of Alexandria becomes tied to the fate of Rome itself. Julius Caesar arrives in Egypt and immediately finds himself caught in a bitter civil war. On one side stands the young pharaoh Ptolemy XIII. On the other is his ambitious sister, Cleopatra. Caesar chooses to support Cleopatra. The decision changes history forever. Soon, Caesar's small force is trapped inside Alexandria's royal quarter by a much larger Egyptian army. Desperate to prevent enemy ships from capturing the harbor, Caesar orders the Egyptian fleet burned. Flames spread across the waterfront. Warehouses, docks, and countless papyrus scrolls are consumed by fire. For centuries, people would ask the same question. Did Caesar destroy the great library of Alexandria? The truth remains uncertain. Modern historians believe the main library survived, but thousands of valuable scrolls may have been lost. Even more important, the fire created a dangerous precedent. Knowledge could become a casualty of political conflict. Meanwhile, Caesar and Cleopatra form one of history's most famous alliances. Together they produce a son, Caesarion. For a moment, it seems possible that Alexandria and Rome might be united under a single dynasty. But Caesar's assassination in 44 BC changes everything. His ally Mark Antony rises to power in the eastern Mediterranean and joins forces with Cleopatra. Their partnership is not merely romantic. It is political, military, and deeply strategic. Then comes the extraordinary ceremony known as the Donations of Alexandria. Before a massive audience, Antony and Cleopatra appear dressed as divine rulers. They distribute vast territories among their children and proclaim Caesarion the rightful heir of Caesar. The message shocks the Roman world. Alexandria is no longer content to stand beside Rome. It intends to rival Rome. To many Romans, this looks like betrayal. Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, seizes the opportunity. He launches a propaganda campaign, portraying Antony as a man corrupted by a foreign queen. The result is war. In 31 BC, the fleets of Antony and Cleopatra face Octavian at the Battle of Actium. The outcome decides the future of the Mediterranean. Defeat follows. Antony and Cleopatra flee back to Alexandria. Within a year, both are dead. Egypt becomes a province of Rome, and Alexandria's dream of becoming the capital of the world comes to an end. Yet the city remains wealthy, influential, and intellectually vibrant. What nobody realizes is that a far greater threat is already growing inside its walls. Not a foreign army, not an emperor, but division. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Alexandria could have surpassed Rome if Antony and Cleopatra had won at Actium? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this journey through the rise and fall of history's greatest cities, don't forget to subscribe and join us for future explorations of the ancient world. For centuries after the fall of Cleopatra, Alexandria remains one of the greatest cities in the world. Its harbors are crowded with merchant ships. Its markets overflow with goods from 3 continents. Its scholars continue to study, teach, and debate. From the outside, Alexandria still appears magnificent. But beneath the surface, the foundations are beginning to crack. The city's diverse communities increasingly turn against one another. Greeks, Jews, Egyptians, pagans, and Christians all compete for influence and power. The spirit of tolerance that once fueled Alexandria's greatness slowly begins to fade. Then nature strikes. On the morning of July 21st, 365 AD, a massive earthquake erupts near the island of Crete. The ground shakes violently across the eastern Mediterranean. Moments later, something strange happens. The sea begins to retreat. Water pulls away from Alexandria's shoreline, exposing the seabed. Curious residents rush forward to investigate. They have no idea what is coming. A colossal tsunami crashes toward the city. Walls of water sweep over harbors, streets, and entire districts. Ships are lifted from the sea and thrown deep inland. Thousands of people perish within minutes. The royal quarter suffers devastating damage. Over the centuries that follow, sections of the coastline gradually sink beneath the Mediterranean. The palaces of the Ptolemies disappear underwater. The world that once belonged to Cleopatra vanishes beneath the waves. Yet even this disaster does not destroy Alexandria completely. The city survives. What threatens it next comes not from nature, but from people. By the late 4th century, religious conflict has reached a dangerous level. Ancient traditions that once coexisted are increasingly viewed as enemies. In 391 AD, Emperor Theodosius I orders pagan temples throughout the empire to be closed. In Alexandria, Christian crowds attack the Serapeum. The magnificent temple is destroyed. Within it stands a great collection of books and scrolls, often described as a daughter library connected to the ancient library of Alexandria. The collection is lost. Generations of accumulated knowledge disappear forever. But the darkest chapter is still ahead. In 415 AD, a woman named Hypatia walks through the streets of Alexandria. She is one of the most respected mathematicians, astronomers, and philosophers of her age. Students travel from across the Mediterranean to learn from her. Yet, in an atmosphere poisoned by fanaticism and political rivalry, learning itself becomes suspect. A violent mob attacks Hypatia. She is murdered, and with her death, many historians see the symbolic end of Alexandria's intellectual golden age. The city that once welcomed scholars from every culture now turns against one of its greatest minds. The decline continues. In 641 AD, Arab Muslim armies conquer Alexandria. Egypt's political center shifts southward toward what will eventually become Cairo. Trade routes change. Population falls. Century after century, Alexandria grows smaller. The city that once rivaled Rome fades into the background of history. Yet its story is not entirely lost. In the modern era, underwater archaeologists begin exploring Alexandria's harbor. Beneath the sea, they discover shattered columns, colossal statues, palace ruins, and enormous blocks from the legendary Pharos lighthouse. The lost city is still there, hidden beneath the Mediterranean for more than 16 centuries. These submerged ruins reveal a powerful truth. Alexandria was not destroyed by a single conqueror, a single earthquake, or a single fire. Its decline unfolded over hundreds of years. One conflict after another, one disaster after another, one lost opportunity after another, until the greatest city of the ancient Mediterranean became a shadow of its former self. Today, the Great Library is gone. The Pharos lighthouse lies broken beneath the Mediterranean. Alexander's tomb remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. And Cleopatra's palaces rest beneath the waves. Yet Alexandria never truly disappeared. Its spirit survives in every library, every university, and every effort to preserve human knowledge. From modern research institutions to digital archives, the dream that began in Alexandria continues today. But its story also leaves us with a warning. Civilizations are not only destroyed by wars or disasters. Sometimes they fade when knowledge is neglected, when curiosity is silenced, and when division becomes stronger than understanding. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient Alexandria, let us know in the comments which lost city we should explore next. And if you love discovering the rise and fall of forgotten civilizations, be sure to subscribe and join us for future adventures through history. Until next time, thank you for watching. And remember, the past is never truly gone. It is waiting to be rediscovered.